Hey, what's up? Welcome to DGenEd. That's degenerative education, meaning none of this is financial advice, just me having fun looking at charts like the chart behind me, which is of NIO, ticker symbol NIO. And so I wanted to go over the chart today because we closed at a very special level, a level that I talked about a little while ago. I'm not exactly sure when, but I have had this yellow line drawn up here at $5.18, corresponding with the closing price from December 9th of 2024, just about a year ago, closed at 518, got rejected from that level over here after, nearly getting up to that level, and then we did get rejected from it over here. So it did seem like that was kind of an important level, had some history to it. So I put it up here on the chart, and we did close at 518 today on December 1st, starting the final month of the year, closing at that very special level. After so many people told me that I'm wrong, that it's going to 10, all of this stuff, and I admit I did initially say that it was going to squeeze, but then I quickly saw all the euphoria, I saw the data, and I put out a video that people blocked me for. People got so upset about, people cried about it, saying that it'd be coming down to 550 before $10. I didn't know that that would happen, but the data was suggesting that we could be seeing some downside moves, and that's exactly what we got. So, whether I'm right or wrong, whether you're right or wrong, it's good to have a plan for both sides, and it's good to think about what you see in the charts. And, the theme of this channel is thoughts on stocks. The last NIO video I put out there, somebody is very insulting, saying I think too much. At least I'm not a bag holder at $8 crying about price being around 518. As I said it might, and I had a plan for that. And so, yeah, I wanted to talk about that and where I think price could be going, look at some options data to kind of guide us with that, as well as some moving averages. Here we do have the 50-day simple moving average, but we'll throw some other ones up there in a minute that could be suggesting a bottom is near. But before we do that, let's just revise this Fibonacci retracement that we have here, just because it's got too many levels on it and we don't need all of them. And so let's adjust this over here. So I'm just going to remove the 236, the 382. Actually, yeah, maybe I'll leave the 382, sorry, the blue one up there. Actually, no, I mean, we've broken below it, so it's not really that much use to us. And then I am going to, let's see, adjust the coordinates over here. Let's see, the closing price on April 8th was 314. And, well, actually, sorry, not the closing price. I want the low. The low on April 8th was 302. And so I do have that here. It's just off by 1 day, so I'm going to move it forward by 1 day. And we can see it lined up with that red candle there. And then over here, this is lined up with space, but we do have the high over here on October 2nd being at a price of 802. And, I'm off by a little bit right there. So going to adjust that. And the reason why I have it extending forward into the future is just so we can kind of project those levels there. And so with that being said, the 50% retracement is at 492, just below $5. And to be honest, $5 being a psychological level. And with the low so far today for December 1st being at $5.14, it's so close to 5. I feel like we're probably going to get there. But at the same time, the other side of that is, with that being such a psychological level, if there are tons of buy orders placed at 5, maybe they don't get filled. Maybe we go down to a low of 501. So if you're somebody who needs to add to NIO while it's down here, maybe 501, 502, that's a good level. But if you're somebody like me who does not need to buy, it might be nice to just wait for it to come down a little bit lower than 5. Like I said in the last video, maybe 420. That's a fun level to add at. Or if you can't wait for it, maybe 469. You got to have fun with the numbers. Otherwise, this is just boring watching money go down. But let's see. Thinking about this, 492 is that 50% retracement. And this is on the log scale. If I switch it over to the linear, we have even broken below that 50% retracement. That's going to be around 552. And we do have the 618 here at 493, which does seem to correspond pretty nicely. I should note that is the 618, 493. That does correspond very nicely with the 50% retracement on the log scale at 492. So I do feel like it is going to be coming down to that level, and you can see this consolidation over here. That prior price action probably going to be acting as support, so maybe we don't come all the way down to 493 or 420. 493, of course, being the 618 here on the log scale. But interestingly, did get rejected from that level over here, so maybe that level will, play an important role. Also did have all this consolidation over here, so getting lower than that might be kind of tough. There are going to be buyers, in that area because there was all this sideways price action there. So something to think about. We do see that the RSI, just recently, the RSI on November 20th came down to 2490, so definitely getting sub 30, which is in the oversold territory. And with that, we are putting in, a lower low here in the stock price, whereas the RSI is actually a higher low. So believe it or not, that's bullish divergence. So that could be suggesting a bottom is in, or more likely, in my view, a bottom is near. So yeah, I think that getting towards 5 and then anything in the 4s, that's probably going to be a great discount dip buying opportunity for the long term. But at the same time, this is a Chinese stock, Chinese company. And so there's going to be, geopolitical tensions, whatnot, other things to consider. So in my view, good to wait for that really nice discount rather than being impatient in adding up here. But you do what works for you. I'm doing what works for me, and that's just talking about stocks. I enjoy doing this, thinking about the thought process. It's a thought squared. And so yeah, one would expect I do think a lot. That's fine. I've got the moving averages up here. Didn't want to have too much clutter up there before, but the one that stands out to me is this red one, and that is going to be the 200-day simple moving average. And we can see that is at a price of $5.02. So $5. I think that's going to be an important level. Thinking about those moving averages, the psychology, the 50% retracement here, and the 618 retracement over here around 493. So lots of levels coming together, and some of them, corresponding with the highs over here. That green line, that's at 493, the 50% retracement, lots of stuff here. So I do think that we're getting pretty close to a bottom, and we might start to see that forming around 5. I suspect we will, but we're going to have to wait and see. And, it's like everybody's saying that I'm stupid up here for saying it's going to come down. People calling me names, all of this stuff. Once that dies down, once the views of these NIO videos dies down, then I think we can start to see this coming around, because up here, over 2,000 or just about 2,000 views on the video. And, I recognized, hey, there's euphoria. There might be a top. Took some time, for me to doubt myself, for me to allowing that time for me to, well, maybe I'm wrong. And, for bulls to get overly confident, this guy's an idiot over here talking about it going down to 550. And then, it takes the time. We all doubt ourselves, and then it comes down. Now, the exact opposite needs to happen, in my view. We need to doubt ourselves, find a bottom, show signs that we're getting some support before it starts to go back up. Where is it going to go up to if it does turn around? I have no idea, but I'm actually going to delete this Fibonacci extension because actually very interesting. I drew that with this idea that it would come down to 518. And I can actually show you that up here. I was projecting that it'd come down to 518 and it happened. That's awesome. But yeah, is the bottom in just yet? If it is a 618 Fibonacci extension, so not even the 100%, that would be bringing price up to around 950, up there at 948. So actually, for old time's sake, I might leave that retracement up there just because I'm proud of myself for the analysis. I'm proud of myself for being disciplined and having conviction in the analysis, despite people calling me stupid. I'm all right with it. The mascot for the channel is a stupid thinking chimpanzee, and I'm no better than him. So gotta have fun with it. But yeah, other levels to the upside it could be going to, and also thinking about animals, conviction. Cantonese cat is charting this, saying that, might be pulling back, but long term, it looks like it could be going up. So I think what we're seeing right now is getting into not necessarily deep value, but value territory. Deep value is over here. I did see a comment that somebody was buying, I believe around, I think they said 350, but that seems kind of, perfect. That would have had to be, the lows over here. No, I guess it's the log scale, so throws it off a little bit. So the low April 9th, 304. So yeah, if anybody's got averages sub $4, congrats to you. I feel like it's unlikely price will be going sub 4, but once we're all proven wrong, that's when the bottom's in, and so who knows. But yeah, as far as the chart goes, I think that this looks really, really good big picture. It's just short term. I don't know how long it's going to take to form this bottom, but I think it could come down to the low fours. So just have a plan for it if that does happen. But thinking about the chart here, I did want to add to it by going over some unusual whales data here. And so what we have over here, and by the way, if you're interested in unusual whales, they do have a sale. Actually, maybe I need to refresh this page. Maybe the sale. Sale is until December 2nd. Look at that. So that's tomorrow. You can get 30% off plans, and I love it. I think the data is great. The data over here is actually what made me realize NIO might be topping, and that was the selling of calls. And I'm just going to put this on the past 2 days just so we have a little bit of context here. So on Friday of last week, it was a half a day. We didn't really see too much of the net call or put premium. Price came down a little bit. That's in yellow. Before today did come down more notably. And also with the price in yellow coming down, we see the green, that is the net call premium, came down by over $2 million. Here it looks like $2.19 million. That suggests selling of calls, which is an indication that a top is in, or at least the bottom is not in, or not necessarily. If price is going up, selling of calls, that would suggest top is in. You buy calls because you expect price to go up, but then you sell calls because you expect price to go down, or to be topping, to be flat, and the premium to just wither away. So yeah, selling of these calls could be covered calls, and so that's like if I have a bunch of shares of NIO and I think price is going down, it sells some covered calls, make a little bit of premium, and then price goes down or just stays low. I'm not really sure what these people were doing, but coming down by $2 million does suggest that it's a little bit bearish. And thinking about that, let's just expand this view so we can see that this is going over the past 14 days. And to put this into context, the down $2 million doesn't seem that great, but we have seen bigger drops, like over here on November 25th. We saw net call premium come down by $3.26 million. And if you're wondering where I'm reading that number from, it's the number over here. It does change based on the day or the time that I'm hovering over, so just look at that. I go over to the end of the day here on the 25th. It says 3.26 million over there. If I do look over here on, let's see, November 20th, we see that net call premium came down by $3.38 million. So, while down $2 million seems like a lot, it's not as much as it's been over here. But it is down some. And if we do go back over the past 30 days, as you can see up here, some massive dumps net call premiums. This is $11.57 million. I believe I talked about this in the last video. And then over here, it's $11.87 million. So nearly $12 million both of those days. What happened in the stock price in yellow following that? It came down a lot. So we're seeing a little bit of that net call premium going down still. Maybe price has a little bit more to go to the downside, but maybe it's near the bottom. I think it is. But, it's just time wasting away. And with that theta decay options, they're very risky. So I'm not holding any NIO calls, puts, shares, anything like that. And this is really just to get an idea. The data is to inform on what the stock price might be doing, not to encourage buying calls. You do that if you want to, not because somebody on the internet is giving you an idea about it or something. And just to point over here, hopefully this is above me. I got the new setup, so let's actually flip over just to make sure. Yep, it is above me. And we can see that the bear bull slider, 54%, definitely the majority on the bearish side. So that does suggest price could be coming lower. And also to get some more insight into what is going on with NIO, we can look at the Greeks to look at max pain. And we could see that max pain coming up for this Friday is $6 with us trading near 5. Maybe max pain acts as a magnet to pull us up, but what I think is more likely is that it kind of serves as a weight to keep us down. We need to be able to get well above max pain to start like a gamma ramp, get that price going up higher. Market makers needing to cover, options calls that, are then in the money in case somebody wants to exercise. But we're not seeing that, because max pain is 6 and price is closer to 5 than 6. So that's going to be 2 strikes away, with strikes also being at 550. And so what I could see happening with NIO, max pain kind of suppresses price for the next few weeks, with max pain being at 6. But as NIO starts to form a bottom for the week that ends Fridays, December 5th, December 12th, and December 19th, maybe we start to see a bottom form around then. And if price can get back up to maybe around 550 by Christmas, the day after Christmas, maybe we start to see NIO take off, especially getting into the new year with max pains around $5. I think that, that could really start to be what gives NIO some lift. But really, it's like, 1 to 1.5 months between now and then. So I think it's, a nice time to maybe dollar cost average as price goes lower. So do keep that in mind. I think that price is probably going to be coming down below 5, but it might be short-lived. So have a plan if that does happen. And, I'm not trying to encourage calls or anything like that. This is the watch list. I like to just check on these contracts. And one that I used to hold is this $10 strike call that expires in June. And I might actually shrink this window a little bit so we can see the data down here. And so this is just showing the past 2 days. We can see the net premium came down to a low today on December 1st of 24 cents, which is 24 cents times 100 shares per contract equals $24 to buy one of these contracts. And the premium that I had paid average for the position that I previously had was 32 cents. And I had actually sold my last contract at $1. So I turned $32 into $100, thinking the data is telling me price is going to come lower. And I'm glad I did, because now that premium, even the high for today, 31 cents, was lower than the average that I had. Am I thinking about buying this contract? Not yet. Not yet, because of time. Time is a key component. And if I think that price could be down here around 5 for the next month or so, and if I do have a thesis that price could be coming up to 10, maybe I want to wait for this to come down to 20, maybe 15 before considering buying it. Or what might be more interesting, if the thesis is that NIO will be going up to $10 a share, what's the benefit of buying a contract that has a strike of $10 if I think it might be topping around 10? It doesn't really give me that much of an edge other than just getting exposure to 100 shares based on this premium. So, like rather than buying 100 shares at a price of $5.20, what we see up here, or $5.18, that's $518 based on the closing price. If I want to get exposure to 100 shares, I could just buy some of these contracts for, $24 to $31, and then that gives me some of that exposure. So that's kind of the benefit of options. But another benefit is to be able to exercise them, to have the option to exercise them at the strike. And if I think it's going to find some resistance at 10, that means I think that's going to be a top. There's no real edge to holding calls with a $10 strike. And so what I am going to suggest as something for me to keep my eye on, look, $5 strike at the top there. That's interesting. Let's just look up some contracts. I like months out, 6 months. I think that's good. And so let's come down here. This one, $8 strike, that's a little bit more interesting than, the $10 strike. So maybe that's one to keep an eye on. And the premium for it, the low, that's the volume. The low for today was 34 cents. The high today was 50 cents. So that's $34 to $50 per one contract, getting exposure to 100 shares. That's potentially interesting, with that, 6-7 months between now and expiration. And these are sorted by the most amount of volume, but I also do want to consider the open interest because I want to make sure that there are going to be buyers if I want to sell. I want to make sure there are going to be sellers if I want to buy. Another contract here that's potentially interesting is the $7 strike call that expires in May. So still, 6 months between now and expiration. And the premium for that is 42 cents to 56 cents for today. If we continue to go down, I'm just looking for, ones that are about 6 months into the future that have lower strikes than $10. And then I can also filter these by open interest just to see which ones are pretty popular. This is a put. Not interested in the put right now. I think it's near a bottom. Unless, I'm not even going to get into that. But let's see. Other strikes. Yeah, this one, a lot of open interest. Over 102, nearly 103,000 contracts open. And, it's on my watch list, but I'm not currently holding it. And coming down, these other ones, let's see. $7, that's a put. That's not what I'm interested in. And so let's see, that's January, just scrolling, thinking about this stuff. Hopefully this is helpful for you guys. But do I have this one on my list? No, this one, so ones that I've added to my list, $7 strike call for May, $7 strike call for June, $8 strike call for June. And, I wish that there was a $5 or $6 strike call that seemed to have more volume for June or more open interest. Oh, here's one. This is what I was looking for. Look at that. Open interest, 30,000, $5 strike call for June 2026. That one's interesting to me. If we dip below $5, maybe we come down to $4.20, that special number, then maybe that would be a time to maybe get some shares, maybe consider looking at this $5 strike call, because I think that's one that it could be closing in the money. If it moves up to above 5, it could be one that's appealing to exercise with a strike of 5. That'd be exercising to buy 100 shares at $5. So that's another interesting one. And yeah, so I'm not going to spend any more time looking at these. If you want me to go over these NIO options, let me know. If I get, let's say, 10 comments that just say options, just write options in all caps. If I get 10 comments like that, I'll go over these contracts. Maybe they're of interest, maybe they're not. But yeah, I'd just be prepared for $5 and be happy about this discount if you have long-term conviction, if you're a long-term bull. I think these are great discounts, and I think that a few months from now, maybe it'll be back up here. But also one thing I should note before I close this, head and shoulders, whether they're inverted or normal, this inverse head and shoulders pattern, they don't always play out. So, I mean, this has been a good way to kind of manage risk up here, getting into that armpit, pulling back. If it does go back up to $8 or so, it's quite possible that could be acting as resistance. I've seen a number of, whether it's head and shoulders or inverse head and shoulders patterns, I've seen them fail, coming back to form the pattern, then get rejected and coming down. But we're not there yet. I think we're closer to a bottom than a top. And so, with that being said, as always, those are just my thoughts. If you found them helpful, make sure you like the video, share your thoughts in the comments down below, and make sure you subscribe to the channel for more videos like this. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope this was helpful. And happy December. Hopefully you're looking towards the end of the year. I got some exciting stuff planned here. There's snow outside, so it's always kind of fun. But yeah, take care, you guys. See you later. Bye.